Did you know that over 36 million Americans experienced a power outage last year, some for days? Your fridge stops working, your dinner goes bad, and suddenly you're Googling how to open a can without a can opener in the dark. Stick around because I'm showing you the 12 essential items that could save your food, your night, and maybe even your marriage. Let's start with number one, flashlights and extra batteries. Let's talk about the first thing you need when the lights go out, light. Yeah, it sounds obvious, but trust me, when the power cuts and everything goes dark, you'll wish you had more than just one flashlight buried somewhere in a junk drawer. Candles are nice, they create a cozy vibe, but let's be real, they're not exactly safe if you've got little kids or curious pets running around. One flick of a tail or a tiny hand too close, and suddenly your blackout becomes a full-blown emergency. That's why flashlights are your best friend when the grid decides to ghost you. Now, here's the catch. Not all flashlights are created equal. You want something sturdy, something that actually works when you need it most. LED flashlights are great because they last longer and don't burn out as fast. Some even have multiple settings, like high beam, low beam, or even SOS mode. Bonus points if it's rechargeable or has a hand crank. Those can save you from digging through drawers looking for batteries you swear you just bought last year. But speaking of batteries, this is where most people drop the ball. You can have the fanciest flashlight in the world, but if the batteries are dead or missing, it's basically a paperweight. Always keep spare batteries on hand. And here's a pro tip. Store them separately from the flashlight. If you leave them inside for too long, they can leak or drain completely, and then you're back to square one. I know what you're thinking. Do I really need more than one? The answer is yes. Keep one in the kitchen, one by the bed, and maybe even a small one in your bag or car. That way, no matter where you are when the lights go out, you're ready. And hey, if you're feeling fancy, grab a headlamp. It leaves your hands free so you can cook, clean, or panic check the fridge without fumbling around. Think of it as the multitasking tool of blackouts. Bottom line, don't underestimate the power of light. Literally, when everything else fails, having a solid flashlight and fresh batteries can make a huge difference between chaos and calm during a blackout. Number two, battery powered. Now that you've got light, let's talk about how to stay in the loop when the power goes out. You might be thinking, can't I just use my phone? Well, sure, until your battery dies and there's no way to charge it. That's where a good old-fashioned radio comes in. A battery-powered or hand-crank radio might sound like something your grandpa used to have in his basement, but trust me, it's a lifesaver during a blackout. When the grid is down and your Wi-Fi is gone, this little device becomes your direct line to the outside world. You can get real-time updates on weather conditions, emergency alerts, or even find out when the power will be back on. And if you go for a hand-crank model, you never have to worry about batteries at all. Just give it a few quick cranks and boom, instant power. It might feel a little silly at first, winding it up like you're charging a vintage camera, but hey, survival mode isn't always glamorous. Some radios even come with extra features like a built-in flashlight, USB charging port, or even a solar panel. These are great additions, especially if you want one tool that does it all, but don't overcomplicate it. Even the simplest models can keep you informed when everything else goes dark. The key here is to keep your radio easily accessible and test it every so often. If you toss it in a storage bin and forget about it, you might find yourself stranded without information when you need it most. So yes, while it may not be the flashiest item on this list, a solid radio is one of the smartest things you can own for blackout prep. Think of it as your 24/7 news station when the internet hits the pause button. Number three, manual can opener. Let's talk about something most people never think about until it's too late. Opening a can of food without power. You've got a pantry full of beans, tuna, tomatoes, all the good stuff, but no way to get into them. That's where a manual can opener earns its keep. Sure, you could try using a knife, a rock, or whatever YouTube life hack you saw once, but trust me, that rarely ends well. A solid hand-cranked can opener is small, affordable, and honestly, kind of a hero when the lights go out. Here's the thing, not all can openers are built the same. Some are flimsy, some slip, and others feel like you're arm wrestling a robot just to get dinner open. So do yourself a favor, invest in one that feels sturdy in your hand and actually works without making you sweat. And here's a pro tip, keep more than one around. Toss one in your emergency kit, leave one in the kitchen, maybe even stash one in your car or camping gear. It's tiny enough to not take up space, but huge when it comes to usefulness. Number four, non-perishable food. Okay, so you've got your light, You've got a way to stay updated, and now it's time to talk about something we all care about: food. Because when the power goes out, the last thing you want is an empty stomach and a fridge full of perishables. Now, I know what you're thinking. Non-perishable food, like crackers and cereal, sure, those count, but if you really want to survive and enjoy a blackout, you've got to think outside the box. Can you see, or should I say outside the cracker box? We're talking canned meats like tuna or chicken, peanut butter. The creamy kind lasts longer than crunchy. Trail mix with nuts and dried fruit, granola bars, jerky, and even powdered milk or box juice. These are the kinds of foods that don't need refrigeration, cooking, or much effort to eat, which is exactly what you want when life suddenly becomes unplugged. And don't forget about comfort food. Yeah, I said it. This isn't just about survival. It's about sanity too. A bag of chocolate chip cookies or a few wrapped candy bars can do wonders for morale, especially if you're stuck in the dark with kids or roommates who are starting to get a little too dramatic about the situation. Here's a pro tip. Rotate your stock every few months. Snack on some, replace them. That way nothing gets forgotten in the back of the pantry until it turns into a science experiment. Also, think about meals in a can, like ravioli, chili, or soup. They're easy to open, easy to eat, and honestly, kind of a luxury when you're dealing with a blackout. Bonus points if you have a manual can opener ready to go. The key here is variety. Don't just stock up on stuff you wouldn't eat on a normal day. If you hate oatmeal, don't buy 10 cans just because it's shelf stable. Choose things you actually enjoy. Otherwise, you'll end up hangry, bored, or both. Number 5. Coolers and ice packs. Alright, so you've stocked up on food, you've got your can opener ready, but here's the next big question. How do you keep things cold when the fridge is just not? Enter the mighty cooler. Not just for picnics and beach days anymore, coolers are total game changers during a blackout. They're like a mini fridge with superpowers, and honestly, they deserve more credit. The idea is simple. When the power goes out, instead of watching your milk turn into science class experiments, you pack all your perishables into a cooler with ice packs or bags of ice. It's not perfect, but it buys you time, sometimes even a few days, depending on how full your fridge was and how often you open the cooler. Now, here's the thing. Don't wait until the lights go out to grab one. If you live in an area prone to storms, rolling blackouts, or summer heat waves, keep at least 1 or 2 coolers on hand. And if you're really thinking ahead, stock up on reusable ice packs or even frozen water bottles. Those double as cold storage and drinking water once they melt. Oh, and pro tip, group similar items together. Keep meats on one side, dairy on the other, and drinks in their own section. That way, you don't have to dig through everything every time you want a snack. Also, size matters. A giant cooler might seem like overkill, but trust me, when you're trying to save half your fridge, bigger is better. Just make sure it's insulated well and has a tight seal. Otherwise, you're just hauling around warm leftovers. And let's not forget about dry ice. If you can get your hands on it, it lasts way longer than regular ice and doesn't melt into a puddle of mess. Just be careful handling it. Gloves are your friend. Bottom line, a good cooler isn't just for camping trips. It's one of the smartest ways to protect your food and avoid throwing away a week's worth of groceries when the power cuts out. Number 6, portable power bank. All right, so you've got light, you've got food, you've even got a way to keep things cold. But here's something most people don't think about until it's too late. Your phone is about to die and there's no outlet in sight. That's where a portable power bank or solar charger comes in. Think of it as your lifeline when the grid goes dark. Because let's be real, even if you're cooking over a camping stove and reading by flashlight, you still need your phone for one thing or another, maybe to check the weather, text family, or just scroll through memes to stay sane. Now, not all power banks are created equal. If you grab some tiny one that barely charges your phone once, you're not really solving the problem. Go for something with enough juice to charge your phone at least 2 or 3 times. Some even have multiple USB ports so you can charge more than one device at once. Perfect if you've got a tablet or Bluetooth headphones too. And if you're thinking long term, a solar charger might be worth the investment. They take longer to charge, sure, but as long as the sun is shining, you've got a way to power up, even during an extended blackout. Just keep it clean and angle it right for best results. Number 8, propane. All right, so you've got your cast iron skillet, you've got the ingredients, but now you need something to cook on, and unless you're planning to build a fire in your backyard or living room, you're going to want a reliable cooking source. That's where a propane or butane camping stove steps in. Your new best friend when the power goes out. It's small, it's portable, and it gives you a real flame so you can actually cook, not just snack your way through a blackout. Now, there are a few types out there, but here's the breakdown. Propane stoves run off little tanks, the kind you might already have for your grill. They're great for longer blackouts because the fuel lasts a long time and stores well. Butane stoves, on the other hand, usually come with refillable cartridges and are a bit lighter and compact, perfect if you don't have much storage space. Either way, these stoves are easy to light, simple to use, and seriously underrated when it comes to emergency prep. You can boil water for pasta, fry up some eggs, or even heat up a can of soup without turning your kitchen into a science experiment. Pro tip, don't wait until the lights go out to try it out. Test your camping stove before you need it. Make sure it lights easily, burns evenly, and that you know how to hook it up or attach the fuel. The last thing you want is to be fumbling around in the dark, trying to read tiny instructions. Also, store your extra fuel separately, away from direct sunlight or extreme heat. And if you live in a colder area, keep in mind that butane doesn't perform as well in freezing temps, so propane might be your better bet. And hey, if you're really thinking ahead, grab one with adjustable heat settings. That way you're not just boiling everything at full blast. You can simmer sauces, melt butter, or even make pancakes like a Blackout Pro. Number 7, cast iron skillet. All right, so you've got light, power for your phone, and even a way to keep your food cold. But what about actually cooking when the power's out? This is where most people hit a wall. No microwave, no stove, suddenly you're staring at a bag of rice like it owes you money. That's where a cast iron skillet or Dutch oven comes in clutch. Now, I know what you're thinking. Cast iron, isn't that heavy? Yes, it is, but that's kind of the point. These bad boys are tough, long-lasting, and work on any heat source. Gas stoves, camping burners, open fire, even inside a fireplace if things get wild. A cast iron skillet is super versatile. You can fry, sear, bake. Seriously, you can even make pizza in one if you play your cards right. And a Dutch oven, that's your ticket to soups, stews, roasts, and yes, even bread without electricity. Here's the cool part. They don't need power, just heat. So whether you've got a camping stove, propane grill, or you're channeling your inner pioneer over a campfire, these tools just work. And let's talk about flavor for a second. Cooking with cast iron adds a little extra richness to your food, especially with meats and veggies. Plus, the more you use it, the better it gets. That seasoning builds up over time, giving your pans a natural non-stick surface and a little story behind every scratch. Pro tip, don't skip on seasoning your pan before using it. A little oil and heat go a long way in keeping it protected and performing well, and if you find yourself in a blackout with a rusty old pan, don't panic. You can clean it up and re-season it. Cast iron is forgiving like that. Bottom line, a cast iron skillet or Dutch oven isn't just kitchen gear, it's survival gear, and once you start cooking with one during a blackout, you might just reach for it even when the power's back on. Number 9, matches and lighters. All right, so you've got your stove, you've got your pan. But here's the thing. If you can't light that flame, you're just holding kitchen equipment like a sad foodie with a dream. That's where matches and lighters come in. Sounds basic, right? But trust me, when the power's out and you need fire for cooking, warmth, or even just light, having a reliable way to start a flame is huge. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've got a lighter in my junk drawer somewhere. Yeah, probably, but is it empty? Is it even still working? And if it got wet, are you really confident it's going to spark when you need it most? This is why waterproof matches and sealed lighters should be part of your blackout kit. Regular matches get ruined by moisture. A soggy matchbook is basically a stack of useless sticks when you're trying to cook chili over a camping stove in the dark. Waterproof matches, the kind sold for camping, are designed to light even if they get damp or wet. Just strike them hard and boom, instant fire. Same with stormproof lighters, like the kind used for backpacking. They're built to survive wind, rain, and accidental drops in the sink. Pro tip. Store your matches and lighters in a Ziploc bag or small waterproof container. That extra layer of protection keeps everything dry, even if things get a little messy during a storm or blackout. Also, don't rely on just one method. Keep both matches and a lighter on hand. If one fails, you've got a backup. Think of it like having 2 sets of batteries for your flashlight. Redundancy saves your day. Number 10, reusable water bottles plus water purification tablets. All right, so you've got food, you've got a way to cook it, and now it's time to talk about something even more important than snacks, water. Because here's the thing, when the power goes out, your water supply might not be far behind. If you rely on a well pump or if there's contamination after a storm, suddenly your tap water isn't safe. or available at all. That's why having reusable water bottles and purification tablets is a total game changer during a blackout. It's not just about staying hydrated, it's about staying healthy too. Let's start with the basics. Reusable bottles. You probably have a few already. But during an emergency, having multiple bottles, preferably BPA-free and leak-proof, makes it easier to store and carry clean water wherever you go. Bonus points if they're insulated, keeps your drink cooler longer, which feels like luxury when the AC's off. Now, here's where most people stop. They fill up a few bottles and call it good. But what happens when those run dry? That's where water purification tablets come in clutch. These little guys are like magic pills for sketchy water. Whether it's from a stream, a rain barrel, or even the tap after a boil advisory, these tablets kill bacteria, viruses, and parasites so you can drink without worrying about getting sick. They're lightweight, last forever if stored properly, and take up almost no space in your emergency kit. Some even work in under 30 minutes, which means you're never too far from clean water, even when life gets messy. Ready for number 11, first aid kit. All right, so you've got light, you've got food, you've even got a way to cook and stay hydrated. But here's something most people don't think about until it's too late. Accidents happen, especially during a blackout. When the power goes out, life gets a little more hands-on. You're lighting candles, fumbling around in the dark, starting fires, moving coolers, maybe even breaking out the camping gear for the first time in years. And with all that action comes risk. That's where a solid first aid kit earns its place on this list. It might not be the flashiest item, but when someone slices their finger opening a can or burns their hand on a cast iron handle, you'll wish you had one handy. Now, I'm not saying you need a full trauma center in a box, just a basic kit stocked with essentials. Think bandages in different sizes, gauze pads, adhesive tape, antiseptic wipes, antibiotic ointment, tweezers, pain relievers like ibuprofen or acetaminophen, and maybe even some burn cream or allergy meds. Pro tip, store your first aid kit somewhere easy to find and easy to reach in the dark. Don't tuck it into a high shelf or a back closet unless you want to play hide and seek with it when someone's bleeding on the kitchen floor. Also, check it every few months. Replace used up items, toss expired meds, and make sure everything's still in good shape. A dried out antiseptic wipe is about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. And if you're really thinking ahead, add a few extras like a thermometer, nitrile gloves, or even a small emergency blanket. These are especially helpful if the blackout hits during cold weather or if someone has an unexpected reaction. Number 12, entertainment, board games, books, cards. All right, so you've got food, you've got light, you've even got a way to cook, stay hydrated, and patch up the occasional kitchen accident. But here's something most people forget when prepping for a blackout. What are you going to do once dinner's done and the lights are still out? That's where good old-fashioned entertainment comes in, because let's be real. When the Wi-Fi's down and your phone dies, streaming shows or scrolling through TikTok isn't an option anymore. And suddenly you're staring at your family or roommates like, now what? Enter board games, books, and playing cards, your new best friends when the grid goes dark. These aren't just for kids or rainy days, they're survival tools for sanity. Seriously, think about it. Monopoly gets way more intense by candlelight, Uno becomes a high-stakes tournament, and Scrabble, suddenly everyone's a genius with a boggle-level vocabulary. Now, if you've got kids or just competitive adults, having a few go-to games on hand can be the difference between peaceful bonding time and full-on mutiny. Jenga is great for suspense, Yahtzee keeps things light, and classics like Clue or Guess Who never get old, especially when you're stuck inside with no distractions. Books are another underrated blackout essential. Whether it's a novel you've been meaning to read or a comic book for something fun and fast, having something to dive into makes the hours fly. And hey, if you throw in a flashlight, you've got yourself a legit reading nook, 1990s style. And of course, don't underestimate the power of a simple deck of cards. It's tiny, portable, and gives you endless options, from solitaire to poker to crazy eights. Just make sure someone remembers the rules. Pro tip, keep a small bin of these items somewhere easy to reach. Label it Blackout Fun or Unplugged Night Kit so everyone knows what it's for. Add a couple of dice, some extra paper and pens, maybe even a notebook for writing down your dramatic thoughts mid-outage. Bottom line, a blackout doesn't have to be boring or stressful. With the right kind of entertainment, it can actually turn into one of those weirdly memorable moments you'll laugh about later. All right, folks, there you have it. The 12 essential items that'll keep you cool, calm, and fed when the lights go out. If this video helped you prep for the next blackout or just gave you an excuse to buy more snacks, smash that like button below. And hey, If you've lived through a wild power outage before, drop your story in the comments. We all want to know what not to do. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss another life-saving tip or kitchen hack. Because, trust me, the next time the grid decides to ghost you, you'll want to be ready. Stay safe, stay stocked, and I'll see you in the next one.